BBC
Newsbeat.
We're hearing from Jen and Craig now about the words they don't want people using about them.
Heroic,
brave,
victim, inspired, cancer-stricken,
cancer-stricken,
cancer-stricken.
They've both had cancer in the past, and the charity Macmillan says we should think carefully about how we talk to people with the disease.
Hello.
Hi, how you going?
So I was diagnosed with 2 types of thyroid cancer back in 2016. Yeah, doctor dropped the bombshell on me. I just remember sitting there and going, so have I got cancer?
So I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer.
Jen, how did you find people reacted?
Most people were quite good, although I did get quite a few of those. Oh, you've got cancer. My auntie had cancer and she died.
Oh, well.
Oh, but I had a lot of people sort of saying, we will fight this and you are strong and you are brave and you will be fine. And I just remember thinking, like, hang on. What do you know? It's got nothing to do with me. I can't fix this. I've got to have treatment.
I found it weird that at the first people were reacting with more emotion than I was feeling. I had one girl hug me and she said, the world is so bad. And I was like, why? See, one word I hate when people tell me I'm inspiring. I genuinely hate it because I've got no control over this. I'm going through doctors treating me. If anything, the doctors are inspiring because they're the ones fixing what's wrong with me. I like the word fight just purely on it's how I deal with these things. I like the word journey because it just helps me build a map in my head of how I'm going to get over it. But I think if you put 10 people with cancer in front of each other, I think you'd get 10 completely different answers.
For me, I think these words, they put a lot of emotion on someone. As soon as someone is told that they've got incurable cancer, then when they die, it's because they didn't fight hard enough. Often when someone tells you that you're brave, it'll be followed by, I couldn't do it. And you think,
yeah, I hate that. Yes, you can.
I know, you would have to. Sorry, otherwise you would die.
We just crave normality and people not to overthink how they react. Deal with me today how you dealt with me yesterday before I told you I had cancer.
Telling someone that it is their fight or it is their journey or whatever, that's telling them how they should feel. So I think just listen to the person. Let them tell you what they're thinking and how they want to discuss it.
And if you don't know, just ask.
BBC Newsbeat.
Yes, Rachel Bland certainly did change the conversation when it came to talking about cancer. She wanted people just to be straight talking in a way. And this relates to our next story. When you're talking to someone who has cancer, you might say that they're fighting it or that they've lost their battle against cancer. But a poll by Macmillan Cancer Support says most patients would prefer to talk in clear, factual language and avoid cliches like cancer-stricken and victim. Rachel's definitely used to say that she hated people using words like that and also putting their head on one side and feeling sorry for us. She just wanted to be treated like anybody else. Jen Taylor was diagnosed with bone cancer in 2017 and joins us now. Hello, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Do you relate to the findings of this poll, Jen?
Yeah, very much. I think we've just, as you say, just started these kinds of conversations, so it's no shock to me to hear these sorts of results.
Yeah. So I guess people just descend into cliche because they find it hard to find the language, because it is difficult, isn't it, to know exactly what to say. You don't want to offend the person, you want to appear sympathetic, and you also want to try to encourage them, and that's what I suppose leads to language like fighting cancer. Absolutely.
And I do understand words like fighting kind of imply action, and it can sort of empower people when they feel like they've lost all control when they get a cancer diagnosis. But definitely this is something that is quite hard for a lot of us, because the idea that it's up to us to fight and therefore cure our own cancer, that puts a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah. You've kind of got to show the right spirit. I saw an interview earlier on which somebody was saying, look, it kind of puts the onus on us to be positive all the time, when actually when you have cancer, you don't want to be blooming positive all the time. You want to have an off day as well.
Yeah, I think it's quite dismissive, actually, when someone's trying to sort of talk about the realities of their illness, and they're just being dismissed with, oh, be positive. And I think this really sort of adds to this kind of denial and shame thing we have around mental health and all that at the moment, that we all should just say we're great and everything's fine and not talk about the hard parts of life.
No. So what do we do though, Jen? Because they're all cliches, and we've all said them and we've all read them in newspapers. So do you individually begin to correct people? How do we change this conversation?
I think it depends on sort of who you're talking to, but I think it's quite a good idea to steer clear of using these really emotive words that sort of put an emotion on the person with cancer. So I think, and it is really hard to know what to say, and we're not for a second blaming anyone who says something that we don't like, but I think it's really important to just listen to the people and see what kind of words they're using to describe themselves.
Yeah. And what do you find yourself ever dipping into the cliches at all, Jen? Or because you're at the centre of this, you have more time to kind of think about the way you want to have your illness, what's the word? Put into words.
Described, I guess, yeah. I personally have never liked these kinds of words. Again, it's telling someone how they should be feeling. You're positive, or you should be feeling like you're fighting, or it should be this journey that you should be grateful for. I would steer clear of that, and I always have. But the more that you sort of listen out and talk to people with cancer, you'll find that you can kind of get an idea of what is a good thing to say and what might not be.
Looking at this this poll, 42% said they don't like the term hero. I suppose that I can understand that. What about brave? Automatically, is everyone who has cancer brave?
Brave is a funny one, because it's often followed by, "Oh, you're so brave. I couldn't do it." And that kind of implies that we've got some sort of choice, like we've decided to go skydiving or something like that. So, yeah, brave. I mean, I guess anyone who's dealing with something hard does have to kind of be brave, but there's no option. Not doing it means you die. So there's no choice with the matter there.
Rachel Bland, who we know well here at 5 Live, and we used to have many a conversation about this. She would never have lost her battle against cancer. She was killed by cancer. But in a way, that language is bleak, isn't it? And while she wanted people to be straightforward with her, it's sometimes, particularly if you're a very close family, it's difficult to even utter those words.
It is. It is very hard to, come at this idea of death. And it's instilled in our culture to not really talk about these things. And hopefully we are making a move to not be so afraid of talking about death. But I definitely think if you don't want to say someone died, definitely passed away is going to be better than saying they lost their battle, or there was some sort of failure. But, yeah, I think the more we talk about it, the more we normalise it and feel better about accepting the reality of life.
I tell you what, Jen, we're so steeped in these cliches. I've been doing mental gymnastics over the last 3 minutes, desperate not to say something I shouldn't have done. So good. So that I enjoyed that. How are you? I can ask you that. How are you at the moment?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Right. Shall we leave it there?
For sure.
Before I say something to offend you. Right.
No, it's fine. You can say whatever you like. Just ask us.
All right. All right. Well, look, great to talk to you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Jen Taylor there. And it is a lesson. I mean, you'll know, Rachel did talk about it a lot. And I suppose it's for individual families who are dealing with someone who has cancer to take on that mantle of approaching it in a straightforward fashion and not just resorting to cliches.
Yeah.
85058 at BBC 5 Live if you've got any thoughts on that, 5 to 6.